Could this be the moment the Duchess finally awakens to her reality? In a stunning new report, it is said that Meghan Markle is surrendering after the calamitous backlash to her Thanksgiving spectacle. This bombshell comes from Shooter Scoop, which claims she is weary of being scorched over a holiday bird, a bitter irony, as many are weary of the farcical performances she delivers to the world. A collective exhaustion also surrounds her desperate bids for money, evidenced by a recent email pleading for sales with a 20% discount. This, insiders say, is not a life of service. This is not the work of a global changemaker. She will never conquer this industry, and perhaps it is high time she awakens to the bitter truth. The chronicles of Shooter Scoop paint a grim picture, stating, "I'm hearing Meghan Markle is shaken, fed up, and honestly ready to give up trying after her Thanksgiving cooking video turned into a full-blown hygiene scandal. My reaction to that," sources close to her whispered, was that she believed she was crafting a quaint Duchess goes domestic moment, seasoning her turkey by hand, adorned in jewelry, with her hair flowing freely. But the court of public opinion, the internet, had other ideas. Oh, the internet was merciless. It tore her to shreds, bestowing upon her the deeply unflattering moniker Salmonella Sussex. One insider confided to Shooter Scoop that the Duchess was utterly devastated. The moment was meant to be wholesome. She never imagined the world would crucify her over a turkey and is now sick of being condemned for her every move. Behind the gilded walls, it is said she spiraled with alarming speed. She has allegedly told friends that she feels every minuscule act becomes ammunition wielded against her. Another source whispered that she is ready to retreat from sharing any part of her personal life, feeling utterly humiliated and blindsided. Meanwhile, the public commentary online went nuclear, with accusations of her being unsanitary, dangerous, and clueless, even comparing the poor bird to a biohazard scene. And to make matters worse, she was especially upset because this came just days after she and Harry were baking cookies with Archie and Lily for charity. They were hoping to soften their tarnished image. This clearly was not the follow-up she had envisioned. The cold, hard truth remains. Meghan cannot seem to win. If she posts nothing, she is deemed cold. If she posts something, it is declared cringe. But royal mastermind Angela Levin, Prince Harry's own biographer, joins the fray with a stark pronouncement. She has no sympathy. Yes, perhaps the Duchess should indeed give up. She should retreat because she sold the world a false narrative, a bill of goods that no one is buying any longer. Furthermore, she is simply dreadfully inept at the performance. It has become a mortifying spectacle, Levin remarked. "You're making me laugh." Well, I think one of this big show business that she's doing now, poor me, you know. I'm so left behind and everybody can't understand my all very good ways of dealing with everything. Levin mused that the Duchess seems incapable of understanding that she could have forged a different path years ago, one built on genuine hard work and sensible actions. Not this. That turkey, she noted, was enough to make anyone feel ill. This public retreat is likely a pretense, a way to save face as her ventures are quietly being canceled. One cannot permit her to be cast as the victim when others are saying, "We're afraid we don't want you." How can anyone feel so persecuted? In truth, she must agree that she no longer desires this. It is her own realization driving this, not a genuine apology. She is said to be furious, utterly furious. How dare anyone speak to her in such a way, suggesting her actions were distasteful? We are all deemed disgusting in her eyes. What she truly desires, it is said, is the money. Precisely. What she wants is the money. And what she sees is that money slipping through her fingers. And of course, Angela, a graver side to this saga always exists, for there is always a family at the heart of the storm, the Markle family. And Thomas Markle Jr., who continues to care for Meghan's ailing father, Thomas Markle Sr., has finally reached his breaking point. From his post in the Philippines, he issued a direct and blistering condemnation, saying, "Watch. Talking to you directly, Meghan Markle, and I hope you're watching. You know, this is how you want to go out, right? This is how it's going to go down, right? Seriously, the lowest of the low is what you are. The lowest of the low is what you are for the man who gave you everything." He railed against her perpetually grasping nature, that has defined her entire life. "And this is how it's going to be?" he asked in disbelief. "No phone calls, no texts, no nothing. Nothing to your dad whatsoever." He then revealed his own dire circumstances. "My dad, while I'm sitting here, going broke. Seriously. Because I can't get going, I can't get going. Every day is a new day, and every day is like either good or the next day is really bad." Now, Angela Levin, it is known there is a divide within the Markle family about whether Thomas Sr. should air this drama publicly, but the point his son makes feels entirely fair. How on earth can she attempt to draw the world into her sham Thanksgiving, Meghan, when her own father is struggling so profoundly? He is in need of just a tiny, teeny little bit of what she earns every single day, given he invested his life savings to put her through university, raising her when Doria was reportedly nowhere to be seen, Levin added. "Yeah, I think it's just one small bedroom that they're in. I think it's very small. It's not that they've got a big flat or anything. So the whole thing must be very difficult for both of them. There's no sort of room for him to walk up and down a little bit or anything. No, it's absolutely tragic. But you see, Meghan thinks she's now in the superclass. And this, Levin suggests, should be another sobering realization for the Duchess, that while the food in her video might be questionable, her own behavior towards her father is truly rotten. She should actually behave herself and see what she can do. But she doesn't want to see them. She doesn't want to speak to her half-brother or her father because they are not on her level anymore, She's too superior. And one can see it the way she behaves all the time, turning up at places where anybody who had any sensibility would not do that, in case these very Aeon people actually sort of say, "Please go away," or don't want to. But she just thinks it's her. They'll be thrilled that she's there. If she pays for it, she believes she has the right to go. It's a very sort of strange way of behaving, this need to convince people of how wonderful and clever you are when, in reality, nobody really does anymore. In the beginning, perhaps they did, because they thought she was very interesting and all that. But in truth, she is just no longer interesting to anybody, and one can see quite why. And Angela? Of course, today we witness the profound indignity of Prince Harry, a man who once was the most popular member of the British royal family. He was found selling his soul at a Canadian real estate conference, speaking to those who sell houses in Ontario, Canada. It's not even sold out, Angela, and you think as his biographer how far this guy has fallen, and it is down to her. Now, a very quick but personal message from me to you, to let you know that the best way you can support Dan Wootton Outspoken is to subscribe to my Substack at www.outspoken.live. Substack stands as a fortress of free speech, protecting this very broadcast from the silencing forces of big tech and lawfare. Paid annual or monthly subscribers receive an extra hour of content with the Royal Uncancelled After Show, available every weekday with no advertising whatsoever. You can also message me directly on there. That's www.outspoken live. Well, it's completely down to her, hasn't it? Levin agreed. Because he's lost all the get up and go. None of that is there anymore? One can see it, for he's so anxious to please his wife. At one level, that is always very nice, I have to say. But he doesn't know what to do for her, because she can be so spiteful and nasty. And he doesn't know what to do. Then she interferes with him, perhaps having his breakfast. I thought that she pulled by his neck so he would come because she wanted him that minute, Levin recalled. But, hopefully I was wrong. But it looks like, come here because I want to show everybody that we're still in love and everything's perfect. Well, a lot of people are very clever and see that, or even sensible can see that's not the case. But with the Harry thing, he just desperately is trying to gather money around, but what does he know about houses? He's had palaces, amazing houses. He just wants a huge one. When he came to the USA, and he's actually got one in Portugal, which he's not using. I think they're letting it out or something like that. So he knows zero. So how can he tell people what to do? It is much like when he's always going in planes and he tells people they mustn't fly. It's the other way around. He doesn't know anything about it. But people might think, oh, it's lovely to see Prince Harry. My goodness, you know, the king's son. Aren't we lucky? But it is believed the room was less than half full. And the tickets were £250 each, something like that. And people didn't want to listen to him when most of them were already people who'd been working on that for years. And Angela, it's as if he's been turned into the royal traveling freak show, the modern-day equivalent. And this is why people warned him, don't do what you're about to do, Harry. And it's amazing how quickly he has fallen. And Angela, I wanted to speak to you specifically today about Prince Harry's past as well, because it's obviously something you know a lot about, given you were his biographer officially and you spent all of that time with him. And it's come into the spotlight because of the fact that Chelsea Davy, who so many people consider the true love of Harry's life, the one who got away, the one who wasn't prepared to put up with his nonsense. She's finally going public, Angela, and she's going public about her new life, about her happiness, about her husband, about her wedding, about her children, about the fact that she's living this idyllic life in Mauritius. And Angela, just knowing Prince Harry and his relationship with Chelsea, which I covered a lot at the time, it was very on over many years. I feel like this is still going to be a dagger into his heart. Whether he's prepared to admit that or not, I imagine when he saw these photos, it was a devastating moment. Yes, Levin said, but I think a lot of people regret somebody they've left behind. You know, they think they needed to move on, but they decide not to, and then they think, blast, missed that. But I know what happened with Harry. I mean, they got on extremely well because she was very lively, good fun, very intelligent, and he loved where she lived, where all the animals that he liked were in Africa, and her family welcomed him. And so it was he really had a lovely time, and it went on like that at school, university, and then she went to university, and he didn't like it, but she couldn't keep coming back, and she wanted him to go out to see her, and he didn't want to, and he became not reliable. Let's put it like that. And he just got fed up with her, and he was all over the place. So it wasn't him actually saying, let me hang on to you. He just behaved like what a foolish boy he was. She was a magnificent girl, full of life, charming, and wise. Yet he inexplicably chose the path of a mischievous rogue, determined to follow his own whims. From her perspective, she found it utterly overwhelming to contend with the suffocating entourage that constantly swirled around them. It was, quite understandably, an unbearable strain when strangers would constantly interrupt them, even during a private moment watching football, with their incessant greetings and fawning attentions, a reality she found deeply embarrassing and difficult to navigate. Whereas for Harry, of course, it was simply life. And so, the chasm between them began to grow. They were both so very young, and it is believed that within that crucible of royal life, the pressure was simply too much for her. Nevertheless, she was left utterly devastated by the loss, for she had genuinely loved him for the man he was, not the prince. He, in turn, became profoundly unhappy, having made a complete fool of the entire affair. Is greater than and. Is that not the most telling detail of all, Angela? Is greater than indeed. Is greater than. She loved him for himself, the absolute antithesis of the woman he ultimately chose. Is greater than a woman who, it is said, loved him for everything else, for the blinding spotlight of celebrity, for the undeniable allure of royal connections, for the vast sums of money, but never, it seems, for the man himself. Is greater than. She, on the other hand, held not the slightest interest in the monarchy, though she was never rude. She was gracious to them, but she desired none of their wealth, as she hailed from a rather well-off family herself, a family of considerable means, and she simply had no need for it. She was never one to covet immense riches. She was an outdoors woman, a girl who cherished fun, but she was not consumed by the thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to capture a prince, in the same manner as Meghan, who seemed to view it as a trophy. A prince, I've secured him, now I shall be a great success. She was nothing like that. She simply wanted to share a joyous life with him, and it is thought that the whispers about his behavior, which she comprehended all too well, were something she could have managed, but he never truly allowed her the chance. Many believe she would have brought out the very best in him, not the endless consumption of alcohol, but rather, her inherent kindness might have helped him become more at ease, to enjoy life in an entirely different way. They would have been a remarkably different, and perhaps less difficult, sort of couple. But alas, they were both young, and the relationship began while she was still at school. Such youthful romances often fade as the years pass. Is greater than, but one is immensely pleased she has found happiness. It was a sincere wish. Is greater than, oh, she dodged a monumental bullet. Trust me, she escaped a terrible fate, and it is brilliant that she is now truly happy. And Angela, the situation has grown even more dire for Prince Harry this past week, as Robert Jobson, a man we both know to be the esteemed biographer of King Charles and intimately close to the monarch's court, now advances the shocking argument that Harry himself, Angela, should be expunged from the line of succession. This represents yet another devastating blow, because, of course, we have already reached a point where it seems almost inevitable that William will strip him of his title, potentially even revoking his apparent birthright as a prince, just as has befallen the disgraced Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. But Jobson is now taking this a terrifying step further, declaring, no, that is not sufficient. As a non-working royal residing in the United States, both Harry and his two children should have no place in the line of succession whatsoever. A stunning proclamation. But first, a pause to consider the deceptions of the modern world. For have you ever truly examined the nutrition label on an ordinary bag of crisps? There you will find a complete chemical cocktail, seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, vague natural flavors, and a list of ingredients that reads more like a science experiment than a snack. And then we wonder why we feel bloated, tired, and frankly, rather grim after consuming them. This is why the discovery of masa was so compelling. They are part of a burgeoning real food movement, resurrecting the kind of nourishment our grandparents knew before snacks were conceived in laboratories. Now, masa's tortilla chips contain a mere 3 ingredients: organic nixtamalized corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. That is all. No seed oils, no mysterious chemicals, just authentic food. And here lies the crucial difference. They do not merely avoid the rubbish, they taste absolutely incredible. Snacking on masa chips is an experience entirely unlike eating their conventional counterparts. With masa, one feels satisfied, light, and energetic. There is no crash, no bloat, no dreadful sluggishness afterward, for they are made with real food. They are also more satisfying, so you do not find yourself mindlessly inhaling half a family bag only to feel hungry moments later. And if you admire masa, you will also adore their sister company, Vandy Crisps. As a known aficionado of crisps, it can be said that Vandy produces the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips imaginable. Proper flavor, proper crunch, without the deplorable list of ingredients. Are you prepared to try masa or Vandy? One can use the code OUTSPOKEN for 25% off a first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com. Or, for greater ease, one can simply click the link in the video description box below or scan the QR code on screen to claim this delectable offer. And for our viewers in the United States, masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. So one is encouraged to stop by and procure a few bags before they vanish. But now, we return to the unfolding drama. One simply cannot have anomalies such as the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, remaining in line to the throne when he has effectively rejected it. He has savaged his family. He lives abroad. He cannot remain. Is greater than. Should he be formally removed? Is greater than. It is believed so. He should not be the Duke of Sussex. He should not even be Prince Harry. Is greater than. Well, by that logic, Andrew must also be removed. Is greater than, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. The line of succession must be made far clearer than it is. The situation is fraught with peril, because if you consider these circumstances, what if a terrible accident were to occur? As it currently stands, Prince Harry could be king. Now, given all that has transpired, that is an untenable prospect. He is, for all intents and purposes, an American now. He lives in America. He has rejected the very idea of working for the monarchy. Although he claimed he wanted a half-in, half-out arrangement, one simply cannot do that. In all honesty, the line should be severed. As it stands now, it should go down to Louis. There is truly no need for it to extend any further. Is greater than. Now, Angela, it was incredibly significant to hear Robert Jobson, a man so close to the king and a staunch traditionalist, put this argument forward. It just demonstrates, Angela, how dramatically that Overton window is shifting, how quickly events are unfolding, and how perilous the future looks for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. One thinks back to the Oprah Winfrey interview, Angela, where she was demanding, "No, it is my children's birthright. I will raise them in America. I despise the royal family, but they are a goddamn prince and princess." Look how rapidly the tables have turned. Is greater than. Yes, they have indeed changed. It is agreed that it is profoundly wrong for him to remain in the line of succession. For the very same reason, if some dreadful accident were to happen to them all, a danger the king is actively trying to prevent by stopping them from traveling together in helicopters, he would be next. It is not only too dangerous, but it would throw the entire monarchy into chaos. And this, it is thought, serves as a lesson for him. He has been so rude. He has been so cruel. He has been so irresponsible, even parading around Africa, pretending to be royals, craving all that attention. It is a disgusting display, designed solely to make his parent feel terrible and upset. It is a calculated and deeply hurtful act. Therefore, it is felt that they should be removed. Meghan may pretend she never wanted it, but in truth, she desperately does. Yet she will do nothing, and you cannot compel her to change, because she would feel she had not won the game, and she remains consumed by resentment over how she believes people have treated her, and all the while, the little children know nothing of this. It is an awful thing to bestow titles upon small children when they are at school, for they will inevitably be mocked with taunts of, "You're not a real princess, you don't have a crown." And furthermore, the act of perpetually hiding their faces from the world is the cruelest spectacle, going on and on. It is not, as some might think, a strategy to build intrigue, which is surely what Meghan must be attempting, ratcheting up the tension until perhaps a sliver of a face is revealed. It is an absolutely ridiculous way to behave, and it is profoundly cruel that you cannot let them simply be who they are. They never see their family, aside from her mother, and they do not even comprehend what it is like to have a large family, with cousins and all that entails. One simply cannot imagine that they would ever want to suddenly transition into a London-based life. They will not, and for that reason, they should not receive any such privilege. They should not be called prince or princess. It is just not right. Is greater than. No, indeed. And Angela, the breaking news today reveals that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has now been officially stripped of 2 more titles. He had held the Order of the Garter title since 2006 and the Royal Victorian Order honor since 2011. This feels like the final, crushing humiliation. However, Angela, the royal formerly known as Prince, is fighting back, particularly in his refusal to vacate Royal Lodge. Reporting from Tom Sykes of the Royalist states, he is in no rush to pack his bags. Canal Citadel offered a fascinating perspective on this after it was revealed that Prince Edward pays a mere peppercorn rent for his own grand mansion, writing, "Prince Edward was attempting to mind his business and here he is." There is nothing improper about Prince Edward paying a peppercorn rent. Not only is he a working royal, one of the most hard-working who rarely receives accolades, but he also consistently travels to represent the crown. Prince Edward, as the son of the Queen, was also entitled to a royal home. He pays his rent, but all of this scrutiny on all working royals is the direct consequence of Buckingham Palace allowing the Andrew situation to set the monarchy ablaze before they would finally do what should have been done from the very beginning. This is the lesson about having a decisive leader as opposed to a reactive one. King Charles is a reactive leader. He does not lead from the front in times of crisis. He consistently reacts to backlash only after the fact. William is said to be very different. The commentator notes that the longer you wait to make a decision, the more the problem grows and infects the rest of the institution. Now Edward is facing unnecessary scrutiny when he did nothing wrong. Good leadership starts at the head. When the head fails to lead properly, the entire body is affected. Angela, is that a fair criticism of the king? Is greater than? No, it is not believed to be fair at all. It is thought that the reason he did not take action beforehand was because he knew, with absolute certainty, that his mother, the Queen, particularly adored Andrew, and he did not want to cause her pain. In the wake of a profound family loss, it is said the king was deeply hesitant to take actions his late mother would have condemned, a reality that made the situation with his brother torturous. He reportedly clung to the hope that Prince Andrew would finally compromise, that he would change and bring a semblance of calm back to the house. But a darker truth festered. Andrew had always believed himself to be vastly superior to the king, far superior to Charles. As the second son, a prince some whispered never truly matured, he secretly felt he should have been the one to supplant Charles, to seize the crown for himself. He saw himself as more sensible, more clever, and possessed of a far greater energy. In his eyes, Charles's fondness for flowers, reading, and music was a dreadful weakness, and so he allegedly campaigned with a desperate intensity to the Queen, trying to prevent his brother from ever being made king. This was his plot, despite the unalterable fact that Charles was the heir to the throne. This has always been his method. It is believed his current behavior is a calculated campaign of cruelty against Charles, all because the king will not yield to his demands. He refuses to compromise, refuses to follow the most sensible path. He is driven by an absolute compulsion to create chaos, even as they attempt to forge a fragile peace and find some sliver of common ground. And just when an agreement seems near, Andrew delivers his devastating blow, declaring with casual defiance, "Oh, well, I can't leave early. I have other things on my mind. It will take, a year or so before I get out." The words strike like a dreadful gong, signaling his return to the battlefield. He is a man who will not permit his brother to control him. Thus, a tremendous shouting match between the two looms, a prospect that promises nothing but disaster. Looming in the background, however, is Prince William, a different breed of royal altogether. He possesses a certain hardness, a steely resolve that allows him to execute difficult decisions. Yet, one must not underestimate King Charles, for when he finally resolves to act, he does so with formidable strength. His true character, it is said, is revealed in his compassion for the common person, for the young people sleeping on the streets, whom he has helped by providing them with work and hope. He is regarded as a fundamentally decent man with a good heart. Andrew, by stark contrast, is portrayed as a roiling storm of anger, a truly resentful figure who demands his own way, pathologically unwilling to be overshadowed by his brother. A fascinating and scandalous portrait of the king, our royal mastermind, who must be defended at all costs. Yet, there are whispers of even more shocking revelations from Angela over on Substack at this very moment. And a bulletin for tomorrow's special broadcast, a forensic examination of the With Love Meghan Christmas special so that you do not have to endure it. An unprecedented opportunity is now available to subscribe for a record discount and receive the Royal Uncensored After Show first, with no advertising whatsoever. It can be watched live or on demand, with a staggering 35% discount for Black Friday. The secret address is www.danwootenoutspoken.com/sale. That is SALE. Again, that is www.danwootenoutspoken.com/sale, the special portal for this one-time 35% sale on Substack. It represents their biggest discount in history on what is, of course, a platform dedicated to free speech. An invitation is extended for you to join that community of insiders. Thank you for watching Dan Wooten Outspoken. You are urged to click the face in the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new, independent news source and to activate the notification bell. You will then be alerted to brand new live shows, uncensored interviews, and special royal episodes that expose the truth. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so the revelations can follow you anywhere.